It's not what you become as a business person, it's who you become. So people chase word success, and they unfortunately typically define it only in dollars and cents. The people who do that usually don't end up very happy, because real success is your life. It's who you become.
9 out of 10 new businesses are found to fail across all segments. Between years 2 and 5, 70% of new businesses shut down.
Oh, absolutely. And it is the same as sport. It's the fundamentals. A great sport example would be Steph Curry. It's what people don't see. They don't see practice. That's where I think some entrepreneurs slip up. I had anger issues when I was young, and sport was good for me because it was a way to get that out. And it was my father who sat me down after one of those events and said, "You know what? If you ever do that again, I'm never coming to another one of your games." I was like, oh, I better figure that out. Warren Buffett, when asked the secret to his success, was just that, his ability to say no. Here was a man with significant amount of money, and people would approach his company every day.
Yeah.
Thousands of opportunities would come to them. And the answer was no, 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 maybe, and a yes. The next day was no, 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 no. My formula for success is very simple. Be healthy and be happy. You have to be very protective of it and never let anyone take it from you, because no one really can. You can only give it away.
Michael, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. We're going to talk about this topic, I think, that is really fascinating for me personally. And right now, there are a lot of resources like podcasts, books, different events that present and talk about achieving success. But I feel like you are qualified to kind of drill deeper into that. And so before we begin with this topic, I would like for you to give us a little bit of your background. How did you become a business coach? I know you were a sports coach before, so just give us a little bit of that background.
Yeah, I came out of school years ago and got into coaching basketball because it's a sport I loved, and I had played it at a pretty high level in college, and I just loved it. I really enjoyed working with young people and helping and teaching them not just the sport, but the things that I learned in playing the sport. And then after I graduated, I was coaching for about 3 to 4 years, and decided I was leaving the East Coast where I grew up and moved to California. And teaching and coaching jobs weren't available at the time frame that I had moved here. So I ended up getting a job with a startup company, which at the time we were called Federal Express, which was kind of named because we were carrying goods for the Federal Reserve. Now today everybody knows that as FedEx, but I was one of the first employees hired in Southern California in, I hate to say it, 1973, when the company first began. But they taught me business, hands-on, right up front, basically operational business. We didn't focus too much on sales at the time. There was a sales division that kind of focused on that and worried. My job was to get the packages picked up and delivered with a team of people. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was very similar to coaching because I just coached and taught a lot of folks what their job was. But I also learned so many of the other elements of business, specifically numbers, and how important the numbers were. And I did that for about 7 or 8 years. I had started in L.A., but I'd wanted to live in Northern California. So they promoted me and gave me an opportunity to be a station manager in San Jose when we first opened the San Jose airport for service. And ultimately, I think I was there at 7 years, thereabouts, and became the manager for all of Northern California and had hundreds of drivers and staff galore. And it was a lot of fun. It was very similar to coaching basketball because I was going against the clock with a team of people. So I really enjoyed it. But then the culture changed when the company went public. And so I left, went back, did a little more teaching and coaching. And then a friend of mine from FedEx dragged me back into transportation and logistics, but in the same day business. And this was, once again, many years ago when people didn't understand what same day was. It was kind of like messenger, courier, things that needed to be done today that couldn't wait to be done the next day. So that was even more exciting because the time frame was shorter.
Mm-hmm.
and again, but this was a business that I was able to help build and was able to control the culture and the esprit de corps, and that I enjoyed a lot. I had done it with FedEx, but then when the company went public, as you probably know, cultures shift.
Can you kind of go a little bit deeper into that? What exactly changed? Maybe one or two things that you can
Well,
mention.
when you're an entrepreneur, which is what I felt like I was at FedEx, you have a lot of freedom to be creative. And when you're a public company, that freedom goes away. You have to, quote, toe the line, chase the numbers, and things that you could do when the conference calls shift to what's the number on Wall Street today versus how many packages do we deliver and pick up on time, which was what our task was, our mission was. It was like, we're missing the point here,
Mm-hmm.
And the business was built on a philosophy of people first, and then service, and then profit. Very simple. Fred Smith, God bless his soul, the founder of FedEx, that was the mantra that he led the company with. And it was no longer the case. It was profit first, and then service, and the people started to come last. And that just didn't fit my personality and what I enjoyed doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So when you were coaching basketball,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say was the most fulfilling part about that? Because I tried coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Last season, I coached my son's basketball team here in Auburn.
Oh, you don't want to coach your kids' team.
I have sort of like my story and what I experienced, but I want to hear from you. Like, what was that fulfilling part about that for you?
Trying to help young people, especially I did coach a women's team in Southern California at a point, but helping young people mature because they have to learn wins and losses in life and how to kind of mature your mindset to it's okay to lose, but figure out why, learn from the losses.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy the wins and learn from the wins. What did we do well? What did we do right? So that, when they left the sport and went on to life, like I did in my career, they're more balanced and they're, hopefully better individuals,
Mm-hmm.
better humans,
Yeah.
better for our country.
Mm-hmm. So if you take your experience as a coach, how some of the attributes from the sports, mentality and performance, how does that translate, let's say, in business?
Oh, it's exactly the same. It's not what you become as a business person, it's who you become. So people chase your word success, and they unfortunately typically define it only in dollars and cents. The people who do that usually don't end up very happy because real success is your life. It's who you become. Do you become a contributor to society? Do you become someone who helps others? Or, do you just chase the money and get sucked into what society says success is?
Mm-hmm.
And then you end up pretty hollow and empty. And that's hard to see.
Is there a difference between someone who, let's say, is a founder of a company and they're very passionate about it? They're not really doing it for the money. They're more doing it as it's like it's their mission. Like look at someone like Elon Musk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like his approach to everything that he's doing is different than someone who is setting out to start a business because, hey, that's how I'm going to make a lot of money. I've heard that you can make really good money by running your own business and maybe being an employee somewhere at first and then getting the idea just for the reason of making more money and then going into the business. The difference between someone who starts a business because they're really passionate about it and they are willing to do something for years and years and sleep on one mattress, eat ramen noodles, but they're going all in, versus someone who just wants that, quick success.
Yeah, well, I think Elon's an interesting example, certainly in our world today, and what we've seen that I call him a young man do is pretty phenomenal. But it's really about his bigger vision. It's about what he really sees on a very, very big scale about humanity and in our planet and our society and how it's going. I mean, he really is very serious about whether it's Mars or the moon or something, about living off of this planet, realizing the resources are to some degree at some point in time going to be limited. So whether it's his SpaceX venture or his solar panel business, or his Tesla business, I mean, he's got his hands in so many businesses, and Neuralink, looking at implants loaded with AI to help a human actually perform better. I think he's about a much bigger picture, and it's certainly not about the money.
Exactly.
But because he's got integrity and because he's got this very large vision, the money comes his way in large amounts. But that's not his goal. It's who he's becoming, not what he's becoming, which, at this point, maybe the richest man in the world. He and Bezos, of course, go back and forth.
Yeah. So when it comes to business, winning in business, how would you define winning in business?
Well, there's two components. There is the scorecard. Okay, that's an important thing. And as you've heard me say many times, it's not about the top line, it's about the bottom line. So our net profit in business is the scorecard. For me, it's just like the scoreboard. Every quarter of the game, we're looking at what the score is and making decisions on what we do next to enhance that score or change it in the other direction if we're behind. So the net profit is the key. I hear too many people brag about their top line and believe that they're doing great because they have $1, $2, $5, $25, $40 million in revenue. Means nothing. It's really what you take home and what's in the bank that matters financially in running a business. But again, it's what are you trying to accomplish with the money? Is it to be known as rich and famous and drive a nice car and have a nice house and all those superfluous things? Or is it to really do something for the clients that you might have, the employees that you have on your team, your community, your church, charities? Are you using the money for good? Then you're winning. If you're just collecting the money for yourself, you're losing. So having values and having goals set on those categories is critical for an entrepreneur starting out. It's about who you become.
Yeah. A lot of people, especially young people, they can have the ambition and talent to go after something, to have an idea, right? But when you look at the success ratio for long-term success in business, it's very, very different. And here's one statistic that I just read. So 9 out of 10 new businesses are found to fail across all segments. About 10% fail in the first year. But after that, things get tougher. Between years 2 and 5, 70% of new businesses shut down. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says that most businesses that fail are less than 10 years old, and the chances of failure get higher as time goes on. In your experience coaching business owners, entrepreneurs, startups, are there these top maybe 2 or 3 differentiator factors between someone who actually does achieve long-term success and then those who don't?
Oh, absolutely. And it is the same as sport. It's the fundamentals. You have to practice them all the time. You can never get away from them. In my coaching business, we talk about the 8 pillars of business.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there are a lot of people who have a lot of ambition, great ideas, great skill sets in a specific area, but they don't have or build the foundation for their business. They don't practice the fundamentals, whether that's the accounting, the team building, the long-term management, the technology, all the different components that are a part of running a business slip away. And a great sport example would be Steph Curry, right? Right here from the Warriors. Hall of Fame player, still playing at an incredibly high level. But every day he practices dribbling. Every day he practices passing. Every day everybody sees him as a shooter because he's one of the greatest shooters of all time. They think he just goes to the gym and shoots the ball. And that's not true. He practices his defense. He practices his stance. He studies the film. He goes through the fundamentals over and over and over, day after day, hour after hour. It's what people don't see. They don't see practice, and that's where I think some entrepreneurs slip up. They don't learn the fundamentals. They don't bring in team members that can maybe support them in the fundamentals. They don't have to be accountants or lawyers or bankers, but they need those skill sets in their organization. They don't have to be technology wizards, AI specialists. They can bring people in that do that work, but they have to have the vision to be able to do that and the willingness to understand that it is team building. They cannot or never will do it all on their own, or they can and be very, very small business and maybe not survive very long if people try to be a solopreneur. It's a tough thing to be a solopreneur in society today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a recipe for burnout, for sure.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So do you think is it because people just don't know? They get in business and they don't know that there's the team component. There's all these different fundamentals that they need to really master. Or is it like just unwillingness, wanting to get there much faster and unwillingness to find that discipline and be resourceful?
No, it's typically they don't know what they don't know. They like I say, they have a vision. They get very passionate about it, was the word you used, about what they want to do and how it's going to be innovative and creative and how it's going to solve a problem. Because most businesses are in business to solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And someone comes up with a great idea. Oh, let's see. I'm going to, instead of being Blockbuster, I'm going to be Netflix. Okay, I'm going to ship those DVDs right to your house by the postal service. You don't have to come down to the store and pick them up. You just select the ones you want, and they show up, and you can have Saturday night movies with your kids, right? It's a great idea. And yeah, Blockbuster saw it and ignored it. and then, of course, Netflix pivoted again when they saw what was going on with the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Said, wow, this having a million of these things in our warehouse and using the heck out of the postal service is not the formula that's going to be successful. And then it was like, oh, are we just going to show other people's shows, or are we going to make our own movies? Maybe people would watch things if we bring in the right people, and the actors and producers, directors make films, and now you have Netflix originals.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, how did that happen? Great leadership. Great leadership.
And do you think it's because, let's say, we're using this example, Blockbuster versus Netflix, do you think it's the thing for Blockbuster was the fact that they were very big, they were maybe in some ways kind of confident, and didn't see what's coming in the future, or what other reason that they just didn't see that?
Yeah, I think there's an illness called too big to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And Kodak had it as well. You're too young to even remember Kodak. It was a chemical company. But they saw digital cameras. People brought digital cameras to them, and they turned it down, said, this is not the future. We're not going there. And same with Blockbuster. They said, no, our model's great. We've got, we just need more stores closer to the consumer so that they can get their videos and their 8 tracks or the things that they were peddling and renting out. And so, yeah, you have to be open to pivot. Your idea may be great, but the world acts very quickly. And you pointed out how quickly businesses are put out of business. That's one of the reasons why. They don't adapt. They have this great idea and they think, and yes, for some people it's like, this is my baby and I'm not changing it, like Blockbuster. But you have to be open to what the world is telling you and not be so tunnel visioned, or you'll be a statistic very quickly.
Mm-hmm. How do you determine whether this is some kind of a trendy thing that's going to go away, or this is something that is happening and that's the future?
That takes the genius, okay? There are a lot of things that are fads. Fads come and go. But trends, when you spot a trend, then you can hook your star to the trend. You're going to have a chance at success. But even then, as quickly as things change, you need to be aware that trend just may not be the one you want to be hooked to, or not hooked to completely. Maybe that trend in business will last a long time. But other opportunities come along. So you have to be open-minded as a leader and not be, you've heard me a million times, Paul, not working in your business, but working on your business so that you can have a mindset that's open to opportunities and ideas.
It's like we mentioned Elon Musk, and when I think about him starting Tesla, he was going up against these beasts in the auto industry, right? These huge companies, Ford, Chrysler, Chevy, all of them.
How about Mercedes and BMW and Volkswagen, and Toyota and Honda? It was a bold and brave move. But he saw a trend or a need, really, a solution that was possible to create, a machine that was very different from those other machines. Totally different. We had used, gas-powered vehicles for many, many years since the horses and the buggies left. But who saw, it was Mr. Ford back in the day, that the horse and buggy wasn't the thing. Times change, and he's changed the industry, the automotive industry, big time.
So just like in sports, in business as well, there are going to be setbacks, and there are times when you fail. But what I want to ask you is, what is that difference in someone's mind, in the mindset of someone who is willing to get up when they fail, face some kind of obstacle that's so hard to overcome, and most people would just give up, but for you to find that strength and endurance to keep going? Is that a mind thing, or is this someone just born with that kind of quality?
It can be taught. It can be taught. But there are people who are born with it. God bless them. But then it's learning that whatever, especially business, it's going to be a grind. There's no getting around that it's going to be hard. And there's no getting around that you're going to fail. And that's where sports and business are so much alike for me. Whether it's an individual play where I'm guarding you, my job is to not let you put the ball in the basket and you put it in. Now, do I raise my hand and say, Coach, take me out because he beat me? Or do I say, I'm not going to let you do that the next time? And the next time when I go down the court, I'm going to score on you. So it is a mindset that you can teach, and that's where sports is such a great background for people in business, because it's exactly the same. Yes, and if you don't get up, you're going to be a statistic. But if you get up, you may get knocked right down again. You may lose 2, 3, 4 times in a row. But people can be taught a mindset. And that's kind of what a coach can do. It's what I did on the sidelines for my players. And when I would notice a player that had been beaten 2, 3, 4 times in a row, I could see in their body language and their head and their morale was changing. Well, that's when we do a substitution. Or we call a timeout and call the team over to the bench and say, guys, don't worry about it. It's only the first quarter. We can come back. We can play better. Specifically you, Paul, you can step up and stop that guy from scoring. Would you please? So that's what coaches do. That's one of the things that coaches are really tasked at, and that is a mindset, and it can be taught.
Is that why you think, like, when you watch sports sometimes you see, like, it's usually, I mean, very, very rarely you see a game where the score is somewhat of a kind of consistent through the whole game. You see one team makes a run and then the other one makes a run, right? It kind of goes back and forth, back and forth.
Correct. And once you understand that, you just keep playing. You don't take the loss too hard. You don't take the win too hard. It's back to what's the end game. The goal is to win the game, or in terms of the season, it's to win the championship. So one game that we lose, we lost it. I'll go back to my college experience, right? I started on the varsity for 3 years in a row. And at Montclair State University in New Jersey, and I was very fortunate to be on a good team with a lot of other good players. I was okay, but it was a really good team, and we ended up 65-16 in 3 years, and in the final year we went to the College Division Elite 8 in the NCAA tournament, and that was just so fun. But we lost 16 games, and it ate at us. And when we won the 65 games, it was like, well, we won. We were supposed to win. It was our job to go out and win. But after the losses, we got back up and did our job. Developing that mentality in business is really, really important.
Yeah. So let's say, just an example. Let's say you are in the locker room. Your team, the one you're coaching, just had a major loss, maybe a game that they were anticipating, hoping to win. They did not win. What is, like, the first thing that you tell them?
We have another game next week, and we have to do a lot of work this week to be ready for that game. So as the saying goes, don't hang your head, okay? There's nothing you can do about this result. We're in the locker room. The game is over. Now, we can learn, why did we lose? What didn't we do that we planned to do? Or was the other team just better than we are? And in any case, we have a game next week. So let's start thinking about that game. There's no sense in worrying about the game that just ended. So, guys, I know it's hard, but forget it. Block it out, and let's think about practice tomorrow.
That's good.
Of course it's good. What else are you going to say? All right, you guys cry all night long, and then, gosh, I guess you can come to practice tomorrow, or if you don't feel well enough, just stay home.
All right. So when you're working with small business owners, startups, what is that, like, the first thing that you see that, like, you can determine that they have the potential to scale, to succeed?
Well, not everyone wants to scale, first of all. Success isn't necessarily scaling. So there's different thing. But however, the first clue is I always ask, what is the end game? And sometimes people look at me like a deer in the headlights. What do you mean? What's the end game? It's like you need to know where you're going or you will never get there. Common sense, right? So is the end game for you to take this company public? Is this your end game to scale it up and sell it for X amount of money and retire? Is it to get to a level where you can have your children take over the business? Maybe you just hire a great general manager or president of your company and you live on an island somewhere and you just check your bank account every quarter to see how it's coming. You have to have that because you'll never get there if you don't. So visualization is critical. And when I meet an entrepreneur and they have no idea, they're just, I'm plugging along. I'm doing the best I can. I don't know where it's going to end up. Well, we have a lot of work to do.
Okay, so why are you asking this question at the beginning? Are you going to sell? Is the goal to sit on an island and just watch your bank account? Or is the goal to take it public? Like, why does that matter so much?
Because you have to reverse engineer it from the end to where you are in order to figure the whole thing out and to take the appropriate steps to get to where you want to go. Great story. This is the truth. Jack Nicklaus, right, one of the greatest golfers of all time, when asked about visualization, because especially in an individual sport, you really need a lot of that. His actual answer to that was, the way it works, what best for me is I look at the hole and I visualize the ball coming out of the hole and landing where I'm standing. Where most people would say, oh, I'm going to hit the ball and it's going to go up and into that cup. So he had this concept of reverse visualization. He would see the ball. He saw where the end game was. It's the cup. And I've got to put it in the cup. But here's how I have to hit it to get it there. And I thought it was fascinating. And I see business the same way. That's why I always ask an entrepreneur when I meet them, what is the end game? Asking that question. And if they don't know, then we have work to do there. But if they have some vision, that's a great start. And then the other tough questions are, well, when do you see that happening? And who do you see that being with? And what will you do when you get there? What else happens? Is the island the destination? Well, what kind of island is it? Is it one where you wear flip-flops all day and, sit on the sand? And the more you wrap your head around all those sensations and feelings and thoughts and ideas of what that looks like, the bigger the why becomes. And the why is everything. It's why you're doing what you're doing, is to get there. So you can use that as a filter for every decision that you make along the way. Will this get me on that beach? Will this get my company to go public? So when someone approaches you with a new idea, or it's a vendor that comes to you and tries to sell you a product or a service, you look and you have to say, will this help me get where I'm going and becoming who I want to be or not? So it's a great filter to understand that. So you try your best to stay on track to get there. Because there's, as you know, Paul, there's so many shiny objects that people get distracted with and make bad decisions and end up as a statistic and not a successful entrepreneur.
Well, I think that's one of the big problems right now in our society is how many distractions there are. We never before in humanity ever experienced how much information people are processing on daily basis right now. And I feel like one of the biggest problems right now is the fact that people don't really know, or maybe they know, but it's hard for them to understand the importance of like having that clear focus and vision, because there are so many opportunities out there There's so many distractions that distract us from where we are, where we're supposed to be focusing on. Like everything is there to rob us of our, whether it's social media, it's other opportunities, it's people, it's texting, whatever it is, right? It's all there, right? So what are some of your recommendations for people who, they maybe someone who is starting a business or wants to start a business, but they're so lost because there's just so much coming at them. They don't even know where to go.
It's all about self-discipline, understanding and making that a priority in your life. That's what gives you focus, is your ability to say no. Not to say yes to all these shiny objects and all this information that's coming at you. It's the ability to, whether it's shut your phone off, stay off the computer, stay away from social media. Well, it's almost impossible for people today. They get so addicted to all these tools, which when used properly are fantastic. But if you fall into the trap, it's just the same as sport. If I didn't do my own workouts, if I didn't go and lift weights that help me jump another quarter of an inch higher for the next rebound, I wasn't going to be starting on the team for very long because there was somebody else who was doing those exercises, or he had more talent, he had more gifts than I did to be able to do that. So I had to work harder. Well, it's not easy to go to the gym, as you say. It's not easy to have a good diet. It's not easy to turn off the internet. It's not easy when your friends approach you and say, hey, let's go do this. And you'd love to go, but, is your why going to pull you where you want to be? And do you have that goal that you want to achieve to give you the ability to say no? Speaking of successful people, Warren Buffett, when asked, the secret to his success was just that, his ability to say no. Here was a man with a significant amount of money, and people would approach his company, the Berkshire Hathaway people, every day.
Yeah.
Thousands of opportunities would come to them. And the answer was, no, 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 maybe, and a yes. The next day was no, 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 no. And he attributed that skill set to the success level that he achieved in business, his ability to say no. And that's self-discipline. Shark Tank, kind of a funny, made for TV thing, but how many of those very successful people can see something that looks kind of interesting, but then they see maybe a flaw in the person themselves about something they say or something they do or something, they'll just say no. No, I'm out. What do they say? I'm out. Or I'm in.
What is that process like to distinguish between and making the right decisions to whenever you are presenting opportunities, being able to say no or yes?
Filters. You have to be very clear on who you are at every moment of your life and who you want to become. And if you can get that in your head and have that mindset, then you're going to have success. But most people can't.
Yeah.
So as a coach, it's over and over. It's repetition. And be open. We talked about earlier, be open to other people. Have a team. Get their input. Don't think you've got all the answers. Which is, it's life. You've got a spouse and 2 children.
There's risk.
There's risk. there's risk in business.
Yeah.
And there's risk in relationship, and there's risk every day that we walk out the door, or maybe not. Maybe we stay in the house. Choice, decision. The filter says, there's a tornado warning. Do I stay home or not? Do I head for shelter? What do I do? So decision making.
Yeah. So, Michael, what are some of your values or non-negotiables in your, in your life, in your business? What are some of the things, some of those key principles that guide you?
Oh, honesty, integrity, value of time. I'm not as young as I once was, which is
There's a
fine.
song.
But it gives me the wisdom to realize that there's probably, more days behind me than ahead of me. And the earlier you come to appreciate that in your life and understand that every day is a very, very valuable day, and treat people with respect, especially when it comes to time. So, yeah, and as you know, I'm a man of faith, so a strong belief in God has been invaluable in my life. Didn't always have that, and I was very undisciplined, and it was sport that saved me in terms of discipline, because there's rules. There's rules in the game that you have to abide by, or they throw you out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn self-discipline to stay in the game. Another horrible story, well, a true story. I had anger issues when I was young, and sport was good for me because it was a way to get that out.
Mm-hmm.
However, I did get into a few physical altercations and was asked by the officials to leave games as a result. And it was my father who tried to come to as many of my sporting events as he possibly could, who sat me down after one of those events and said, "You know what? If you ever do that again, I'm never coming to another one of your games." I was like, oh, I better figure that out.
Wow.
So he helped me. It's back to having a good team, a parent who helped me say, well, I like when my dad's in the stands, and it makes me feel good. So I don't want that to ever happen again. So having enough self-control that no matter how much someone pushed me or got physical with me, I would turn the other cheek and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was a great lesson in sport, but for my life.
Yeah. So here's a question that I typically ask almost every guest on the podcast. Has there been like a pivotal moment in your life that kind of put you in the right trajectory in your life that you can remember?
Oh gosh, several, several, and that being one,
Okay.
as an
Yeah.
example.
Mm-hmm.
Sticking with that, my lengthy story about my basketball career, in our final game, we were in the Elite Eight and we lost the game. And we didn't go any further. But it then never occurred to me that was the end of my basketball career, as it was. I was never capable of playing at a professional level. So I knew that I never sat down and said, well, when I get to my last college game, this is what life is going to be like. So after that loss, I was like very lost for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, wow, it had consumed so much of my time and my days and my joy of winning and having success. And then it was gone, just like that. So that was pivotal. But several years later, I got a call to let me know I had been selected for the Montclair State Hall of Fame for my athletic achievements. And I went back with my family, my high school coach, my college coach, and was introduced in front of the crowd and given a plaque and all that. And it was like, oh, I guess I did the right thing after all. And that was a pivotal moment of success that I hadn't seen coming after that loss that ended my college career. I was invited back to reminisce, to go to the old gym and stand there. So you don't know sort of the future. So don't hang your head.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hang your head. Pick your head up and keep moving forward. Have the grit.
So did you take that and shift focus into something else like right away, or did it take you time to really figure out what's next for me?
It took time, you know, um, but, you're still taking it one day at a time. There was never the uh, big vision. My formula for success, Paul, is very simple. Be healthy and be happy. All the rest of it is irrelevant. Be healthy. Because without health, you're never going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And figuring out what happiness is for you, what brings you joy. And once you get in touch with that, you have to be very protective of it and never let anyone take it from you, because no one really can. You can only give it away. So coming to a point in your life where you're happy and you're healthy, you're as successful as you're ever going to be.
So being happy is a choice?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Goes back to that other big word that people look at, and that's called purpose. If you can figure out what your purpose is in life and use that as a filter, once again, for the decisions that you make on a daily basis, then you can find your joy and just choose not to give it away and keep the discipline in place that makes that happen, because there's a lot of pulling and pushing out there that would like to take it away from you.
Yeah. I see a few business owners that I know. They're in business, but their life seems like they're losing their health, their relationships with family, and it almost seems to me that there are certain people maybe that like business isn't really for them.
True.
I want to hear your opinion about is entrepreneurship in business for everyone?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, all the negatives that we've talked about are probably the majority of people, which is why the statistics are what you've quoted. Not everyone is cut out to be a business owner.
How does someone determine this is not for me? I should rather just kind of stick to this path.
Yeah. Well, the other path is get a job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Work for someone else. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with working for someone else. Some people have a bad experience at that, and that's their drive for becoming an entrepreneur. Some people just wake up one morning and have some idea to solve a problem and say, wow, I can do that. But yeah, most people are not cut out to be entrepreneurs and to be business owners by far. The statistics prove it over and over again. But back to your point about, people who lose their health, end up in divorce, end up, some other tragic situation in their life because they tried the work-life balance. You've heard me many times talk about that. The thing about this fulcrum where you're just trying to get it perfectly even, and the reality is, if you're putting too much time into your personal life and not enough time into your business, then you're feeling guilty about your business because it's negative, it's down. And vice versa. If you're putting too much time into the business, you're neglecting your family or your health or your other important things in life. So trying on that teeter-totter is the wrong approach.
Mm-hmm.
Reality is business and life, of course, are a journey. And the longer, the better, more fun you can have. But the reality during that for entrepreneurs is to learn how to weave. And what you're weaving in your journey is a tapestry. And I've looked at and seen so many beautiful tapestries with so many different colors of thread and creating beautiful images. And that's what we're trying to do. So, today you're going to go to your child's softball game and you're going to neglect your business. Well, don't feel guilty about that, because tomorrow you're going to be out showing a property in the evening and not home for dinner. Okay? So you have to weave things together and understand that at the end, it's the tapestry of who you become, what your family becomes. And if you, again, use that as a filter for making decisions of all the distractions that are coming at us today, what's the right thing to do?
Yeah, we were having a discussion yesterday in church. We had a men's group, and someone asked the question, if you're in business, what is the normal hours a week that, and I heard that question. And the way I see it also is that there's seasons in life, right?
Absolutely.
There are going to be months where you have to be in business longer, whether it's in the office or meetings or whatever, because it's like if you're just building a business and it's in its infancy, it's like a baby that requires a lot of attention, constant, feeding, diaper changing and all that, right? So when you're in that season, you can't say, well, let's look, the healthy way of doing this is no more than 40 hours a week and that's it, because then you're not going to be able to build something that's going to last, right? So it's, to me, the way I look at it is like there's seasons, and we're going through seasons of life, and in 1 5-year period will be different than the next 5 years.
Sure. And, from the day to day to years to seasons, but, understanding that you have to have that weave. Which is why you and Tatiana went on a bunch of vacations last year, which was great, right? Did you and the children have fun?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And you weren't just burning out by overworking, and you were creating this weave, which is the beauty of your family. And it was great to see. Great to see.
I often hear people say, like, hey, you have to find something that you're passionate about. If you're trying to discover yourself, what you're supposed to be doing in life, do something that you're passionate about. And very often people don't understand, like, how to find that, right? Or even what it means when someone says, I'm passionate about. And one definition I heard, which is very interesting, is basically it's this, like, when you're passionate about something, it's how much are you willing to suffer for it?
Well, to some degree, that's true. I mean, we're getting close to Easter, right? When the Passion of Jesus.
Yes.
It was a bigger picture. So there is a certain amount of suffering in life and in business. But again, do we hang our heads, or do we keep going towards really what is our purpose? And it takes a while sometimes to figure out what your purpose is. And a lot of people probably go through life and never know.
How does someone start? Like, if you were giving someone advice and that's where they're at in life, they are trying to figure out right now what their purpose is. What would you recommend them to do to start this journey?
Get alone, have a pad and paper, and just start writing. Kind of a stream of consciousness thing. Most people will sit in front of that piece of paper for a long time before they start writing. But once they do, they'll get more clarity about it. And then people ultimately get to a reality of the bigger picture, if you will. I can tell you my purpose, and it took me a while to get to that reality of what that purpose was. And it became so clear and so simple. It's like, why didn't I figure this out a long time ago? But I'm here for one purpose, and that's to get my wife and my 4 children to heaven. And everything I do, I filter through that reality that that's my job. That's the only reason I'm here on this earth, is to help those 5 people. That's why God put me here. Don't ask me why. Don't ask. He hooked me up with all those people. That just sort of happened. It was divine intervention. So I have that big picture in what drives me. And that's why the discipline, it's why I'm committed to being a healthy 100 years old at a point in time. I owe it to those 5 people to hang around with them as long as I possibly can, just because I like to drive them a little up the wall, especially the kids. Well, maybe my wife. I'm not sure which is I drive a little more crazy. But in any case, I'm doing the best that I can. And I fail. Just like everyone. I fail at that and everything else all the time. Just like I lost the game, or I didn't stop you from scoring. It's just as basic as that.
Yeah. Michael, this question right now, a lot of people are concerned about AI. I just heard a story about one of the companies. It's Jack Dorsey's company. He sent out this tweet or X post where I think 2,000 of employees, I think there's a total of 8,000 or some employees in his company, and they're letting go, or they already let go 2,000 people. And someone said, oh, this is just the beginning. That's kind of where we're going with this AI. How much do you think people should worry about AI?
I don't think they should worry about it. I think they should recognize it. When the, quote, internet came around, I'm old enough to remember when that started. People say, oh, this internet thing, oh my gosh, it's gonna take over the world. It's gonna be dangerous. Oh my goodness, it's gonna do this. It's gonna do that. Some people were in fear. Oh, it's gonna take my job. It's gonna change the way we do things, and it certainly has. And there's the wonderful, great things that it does for us, and the not so great things. And this is a true story, Paul. I'm old enough to remember when television came around. I know that's hard to believe. And people who had their only media prior to that was the newspaper and the radio. And it was like, this television thing is wild. This is crazy. This is going to take over the world. And there's going to be such bad stuff on there. And it's, oh my goodness. And it was, and then there was, the horse and carriage and the combustible engine. I mean, times change, things change. It's how we adapt to it. I love AI. I think it's fantastic. Yes, is it going to take jobs? Absolutely. But are there going to be jobs that we don't even have a title to right now? We don't even know what that job is available for people because of AI? Absolutely. Who thought when the internet was getting started to be someone called a YouTube channel manager? What the heck is a YouTube channel manager? But it's a great job to have, because if you can learn how to use YouTube and manage it to help or assist a business, the business owner probably doesn't know how to be his own YouTube channel manager. But he can hire someone that could be a YouTube channel manager. And when the internet came out, nobody knew what that title would be. Nobody had ever, what the heck is a YouTube?
But what about tomorrow? AI is going to be the YouTube channel manager.
It will, absolutely. And it's going to build websites, and it's going to do, software as a service. I mean, you can tell AI today to build you, a CRM, and it'll build it. Why would you be paying someone else to have a CRM when AI will build it for you?
Well, that's where I'm going with it. You look at what Elon Musk is doing with his Optimus robots. He's saying that in the very near future, almost every family, if they'll want to, they can have that thing in their home.
Right.
And it's going to be doing all these different...
Amen. It's going to do the dishes for you. It's going to vacuum the floors.
Yeah, and what? And people are going to be sitting on their couches with their...
virtual reality glasses on,
goggles, and live somewhere in cloud, while these Optimus is going around and doing all the work, delivering their DoorDash, and self-driving cars, right? Like, so when you think about like all these different industries, almost in every industry, there's sort of like a threat of AI. So let's say if the population continues to grow, the way this trend is, when you look at it, it's almost like, yes, there will be some new jobs being created, but how many, what's the ratio between what's created as a new job specifically that only human can do versus how many jobs can AI or has already AI taken and will continue to take?
New industries are born with every change in technology. So I do believe there are going to be plenty of industries that are out there. I mean, uh, the big news about data centers, okay? These big, unbelievably large facilities housing the equipment necessary for AI to operate correctly. Uh, yeah, I mean, how many electricians are working building data centers? A lot.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a young person, is it the time to be studying, how to become an electrician? Maybe instead of going to college, maybe that's a better path because they're going to be building those for quite some time, and they're all wired. I mean, I can't imagine how much wire there is going into those facilities, right?
Yeah.
They're making chips. Huge companies that make chips. Great industry to be in. My wife actually was partly in that industry for a period of time a while back. But, the opportunities, if you look for them, are there.
People just have to be aware and understand that, hey, not just ignore it or be fearful that, oh my gosh, that's it, it's over, but actually understand and anticipate and prepare.
Exactly. And embrace it. Okay. I love it. I mean, and I enjoy using it for the simple things. I don't do a lot. I'm not a sophisticated AI person, but I certainly love using it. And I really like the prompts that it gives me back. It asks me great questions. And that's something I hope the people that I coach will do. Ask me a great question so that we can discuss it. So when AI says, well, would you like that in a more sophisticated fashion, or should I put that information into an Excel spreadsheet for you? It's like, well, yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, yes, please. And boom, I've got one.
Can AI do business coaching right now?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure. And I probably should be the guy prompting it. You know me, I like starting businesses. I'm working with a friend, an attorney here in town, and he has become certified as a certified AI business coach. And we're starting a business to help other attorneys deal with AI and understand how it works and how it can impact and successfully implement into their business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm embracing what AI is,
Mm-hmm.
and we're getting ready to start some mastermind groups with attorneys from around the country who, are shaking their heads about AI and what is it, how does it work, and how can I use it? Because if you don't use it, if you don't learn about it, you're going to miss out on
You're left behind
opportunities.
for sure. Yeah. Okay. Last question.
Yes, sir.
So, if someone in the audience is on that journey to finding purpose, success, what are some of the resources that you would recommend, whether it's books or anything else where they can find and maybe use to help them in this journey?
The resources are unlimited, whether it's books, podcasts like this, videos, things that are online, so many things online. You got to reach out. You got to be open-minded and be aggressive to learn. I attribute part of my personal success to the fact that I learned very few things in college. Actually, no, just kidding. But I did learn a very important thing. One is that many roads lead to the top of the mountain. And as an educator, you can never cease to learn. So acquiring a love of learning is critical. In fact, that's what we have taught our children. We haven't taught them we taught them a lot of subject matter, but the most important thing was to make them critical thinkers by having them be willing to ask questions and be willing to realize they weren't going to ever learn everything, but to always want to.
Yes.
Always question.
Mm-hmm.
Always question.
I agree with that. I think you're right about that. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I hope people in the audience will take this podcast, digest it, and find it valuable.
I hope so as well, Paul. You reach a good crowd with your podcast, and hopefully, there's something to be gained from our discussion today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you've made it this far and want to support what we're doing, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are committed to making each episode better than the last. If you like this video, here's another one for you to watch. I'll see you in the next one.